In today's video, I'm going to explain the exact macros you should be on if your goal is to reach 10 to 12% body fat. Hey guys, what's going on? This is Paul Rella from ProPhysique.com. In today's video, I got a great question about someone trying to lose a little body fat, someone who is doing a great job already of tracking things and being accountable. They just want to know how to take that next step. So when it comes to fat loss, accountability really is the key. I've done a lot of videos on walking, on diet, but it just comes down to understanding how those things are going to impact fat loss. And I will say this, things change the leaner you get. So you can't take the same approach to losing the last 10 pounds that you took to losing the first 20 or 30 or 40, right? The body changes and you can use that to your advantage. So let me explain when I answer today's question. I want to get a body scan. I'm 15% body fat and I want to get to 10 to 12% body fat. I train weights Monday, Wednesday, Saturdays. Some days I do cardio, Tuesdays are rest days. Cardio sessions are 45 minutes on the stairs. Friday I do 30 minutes intensity on the stairs. Weight 167 to 170. Kept muscle, even gotten stronger. Confused on macros. Not in prep for a bodybuilding show. I'll tell you why that's important. Want to get to 10 to 12% body fat. My macros are 100 grams carbs, 20 to 30 grams of fats, 170 grams of protein. I'm not sure if that's good or if I need to bump them. Okay, so first things first, awesome work. Just being accountable. You know where your macros are, you know where your cardio levels is, and you know where your body fat is. So this is where, when you have this data, as a coach, that's what I thrive on. So let's first things first talk about body fat percentages when you're getting them tracked. There is this idea that 10 to 12% body fat is somehow going to make you happier. What I find is that it's actually quite a bit leaner than 10 to 12% body fat for most people. 10 to 12% body fat, you're still going to have a little bit of lower belly fat. You're still going to have some fat on the lower back. The reason, you mentioned the bodybuilding show and how you're not a bodybuilder. The reason you see us get like this on the screen here is because we push through that, right? We go to those extremes to get all the body fat off the body, right? Because when you get on a bodybuilding stage under those lights, everything is revealed, right? So you got to get all the body fat essentially gone. So 10 to 12% body fat, you may not be any happier than you are at 15%. So just want to prepare you for that. Now, let's talk about cardio. You could simply, by keeping your calories roughly the same and increasing your cardio or increasing your activity, create a bigger deficit throughout the week. And that may push you a few more pounds of body fat down, another % or two, okay? So that's just one way to go. And this is one of the tools that I use as a coach. If I have somebody doing like 3 days of 45 minutes of cardio, hey, I might have them do 4 days, 45 minutes of cardio. The important thing to note here is that you can't then trade off cardio for something else, okay? Cardio is a tool that we use to lose body fat, but it only works if we're not trading cardio for another activity that was already burning calories, okay? So you've got to be able to be consistent in all things so that when you add cardio on top of it, it further creates the deficit. Now, you gave me your macros, which is awesome. You have a really good understanding of where they should be. You're eating protein perfectly. I think your fats are probably a little low. Remember that fats start the entire cascade of hormones, and I don't like them to get below 20% of your total calories. If you're at 20 grams of fat a day, that's 180 calories. That is well below 20% of your total daily calories. So what I would suggest is that you actually bring your fats up a little bit. 45 to 50 is where I would typically keep them. Now, carbohydrates are a fun one, right? You're at 100 grams of carbs a day. My magic number for carbohydrates when I'm dieting somebody down to get them to this low body fat percentage is about their body weight in carbohydrates. So for you, 170 grams of carbs a day would probably keep your muscles pretty full throughout the day. You're pretty far below that. So I'm guessing there are times where you are very depleted if you're not doing any type of refeeds. And this is what I'm going to suggest you do. I would suggest you keep your plan exactly the same at this time, as far as cardio, as far as your macros, with one exception. 1 day per week, I would bring up your carbohydrates. Okay, so I would probably drop your protein down to say 160 grams. I would keep your fats at say 35 grams. Remember, I bumped them up to 45 to 50. I would drop them down. And then I would bump your carbohydrates up. If you're at 100, I'd probably go somewhere in the 180 to 200 grams of carbs for 1 day range. Now, carbohydrates, you got to find some sources that are basically low in fat, low in protein, so you can get a good, amount of carbohydrates. Things like white potatoes, things like white rice. I use kids cereals. Heck, I use Pop-Tarts. things that are very friendly, easy to digest, things that you enjoy. You can also use this as a psychological benefit because you know you have a day coming up where you're going to get more carbohydrates. Now, what you'll notice immediately is A, the good news. Muscles are fuller. You feel stronger. B, the bad news. You might actually feel yourself getting hungrier. Now, if you're getting hungrier, what does that tell us? That tells us you're turning on some hunger signals. You might be speeding up some digestion. You might be improving some hormones, okay? So this is the real value that I see with refeeds, is that it has multiple benefits. Psychological, it also has some benefits to our body, to our hormones, to our sleep, to our recovery. I've even had people report to me that after their high carb days, they drop weight. Well, why would this be? All the things I just mentioned might actually end up downstream causing you to move a little bit more, right? So your non-exercise activity increases. We start to conserve energy the longer we're dieting. We don't even realize we do it. We go up and down the stairs less times. We go to the mailbox fewer times. We don't play with our kids as much. We don't take as many walks. We might stop playing ping pong. We might stop shooting baskets outside. It's a slow and steady decrease of energy where your body starts to conserve. Now, we have all this data now. You can wear trackers that tell you how much you move throughout the day. And therefore, you can counteract this by going, you know what? I'm going to keep my movements consistent. That is the best thing to do for this. But the refeed days are what really pushes us through to allow us to get to this new place. So a combination of perhaps adding more cardio and perhaps adding 1 or even 2 high carb refeed days per week is going to allow you to keep progressing. I think your calories are low enough. I would expect you to be dropping. If you are hitting a sticking point, these are the things that are going to work for you. I just did a video yesterday on how to do a diet break, bringing food up and cardio down for a 1-week period, basically go into maintenance. That can have some amazing benefits for people that have been dieting for a long time, because the most frustrating part is when you get really close to your goal, but you're not there and the same things aren't working anymore. And we really want to make sure that we understand that you don't have to just give up. You can go into a maintenance or a holding pattern and really see progress. But great work. Obviously, your goal is a very common one. Getting down to that 10 to 12% body fat mark, depending on the testing, should have some pretty good visibility in the abs. They might not be super crisp, but you should be able to see them. Lower back should be starting to clear up. But just understand that sometimes 10 to 12% body fat, I know for me, I'm not really that crispy. Not until I get to like 7% body fat. That's when I really notice, okay, all the fat has gone off my stomach. I look much different. I have the illusion of having more muscle. So you might want to just play around with that. And the reason I mentioned the bodybuilding thing is because that's why we get to that level. Because when we hit a sticking point, we don't stop, we don't give up. We go, okay, there's got to be a way to get there. There's a lot of great bodybuilding coaches out there that can provide information like that. So yeah, hopefully you guys benefited from this. And I would love to hear if you have any questions in my Instagram direct message or comment below if I can help you out. All right, guys, I'll talk to you tomorrow.